Hello, this is Benjamin Boyce, and I want to share something with you that I found in my inbox. Apparently on December 17th of 2018, a third-party claim was delivered to Lindsay from Nathan Rambukkana and Herbert Pimlott. Now, Lindsay, if you don't know this, was taken aside about a year and some months ago by Nathan Rambukkana, Herbert Pimlott, and Adria Joel, who are all employees of Wilfrid Laurier University. And in this meeting, so-called, she was grilled or inquisitioned about a 2-minute Jordan Peterson TV clip that discussed the debate around pronouns, right? Which these professors and this university diversity employee or diversity officer, I don't know how we should actually call Adria Joel, they thought that that was problematic and paramount to hate speech and in violation of Canadian law.
Not to kind of do the thing where everything is kind of compared to Hitler, but this is like neutrally playing a speech by Hitler or Milo Yiannopoulos from Gamergate. This is the kind of thing that departmentally, in terms of like critical communication studies and in terms of the course of what we're trying to do, is diametrically opposed to everything that we've been talking about in the lectures.
Lindsay recorded that meeting, and that recording went out to the news media. And then earlier this year, Jordan Peterson decided, for his own reasons, to pursue a claim of libel against Nathan Rambukkana, Herbert Pimlott, and Adria Joel. So Peterson decided to sue these professors, and then these people have turned around and are now suing Lindsay, and I have this third-party claim. So I'm going to read it to you. To the third party, a legal proceeding has been commenced against you, Lindsay, by way of a third-party claim in an action in this court. The action was commenced by the plaintiff against the defendant. So the action is Jordan Peterson is the plaintiff against the defendant, which is Rambukkana and Pimlott, for the relief claimed in the statement of claim served with this third-party claim. The defendant has defended the action on the grounds set out in the statement of defense served in this third-party claim. The defendant's claim against you is set out in the following pages. If you wish to defend this third-party claim, you or an Ontario lawyer acting for you must prepare a defense in form blah, 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 blah. You may also defend the action by the plaintiff against the defendant by serving and filing a statement of defense within the time for serving and filing your third-party defense. And this is all in caps here, which is, I guess, it's just legal italics. If you fail to defend this third-party claim, judgment may be given against you in your absence and without further notice to you. If you wish to defend this proceeding but are unable to pay legal fees, legal aid may be available to you by contacting a local legal aid office. Signed by the local register. I don't even know if that's actually a signature. So here's the actual claim. And I'm not a legal guy, and I'm not really able to give a legal analysis of this. I just kind of want to present this because I think it's interesting on a cultural sphere. So this is more of a social analysis rather than a legal analysis. I make no claims to legal know-how or authority for that matter. So the first section just sets out, the first page, I guess, just sets out the players. So there's the defendants, which is Nathan Rambukkana and Herbert Pimlott, and then there is Jordan Peterson, and then there's Lindsay. So the second page is where we get into the actual story. Technically, this is page 4. Item 7. Rambukkana and Pimlott deny that they are liable to the plaintiff. 8. On or about November 1st, 2017, Shepard played 2 self-selected excerpts from a TV Ontario program moderated by Steve Pakin, consisting of a debate between the plaintiff and Nicholas Matt, quote-unquote, the TVO debate, during the tutorial of Rambukkana's Canadian Communication in Context class. The excerpts selected by Shepard of the TVO debate involved the plaintiff arguing against the use of gender-neutral pronouns and criticizing the then-proposed Bill C-16. italics, an act to amend the Canadian Human Rights Act and the Criminal Code, quote-unquote Bill C-16. The excerpts selected by Shepherd of the TVO debate were played during the tutorial without Rambukkana's knowledge, approval, or consent. Quote-unquote, the November 1st, 2017 tutorial. Now, what I know, speaking with Lindsay Shepherd, is that all of the TAs, the teacher assistants under Rambukkana, were given the authority to structure the classes as they saw fit. So that's just one little fact out there, which we can extrapolate into every given TA is presenting material without Rambukkana's knowledge, approval, or consent. Item number 9. On or about November 8th, 2017, Rambukkana and Pimlott met with Shepherd to better understand the circumstances of the November 1st, 2017 tutorial and the effect of the airing of the TVO debate involving Peterson on the students in that class. Quote, the November 8, 2017 meeting, end quote. In doing so, Pimlott and Rambukkana acted pursuant to their respective academic freedom in response to a student concern raised about the content and conduct of the tutorial through the Diversity and Equity Office, affectionately titled the DEO, and in accordance with university policy and procedure and the instructions and suggestions of relevant university personnel. According to this letter by the president of Wilfrid Laurier, published publicly on December 18th, 2017, on the university website, President McClatchy says, "We hired an external fact finder with expertise in human resources issues. I have received the report and we are taking decisive action to ensure these events will not be repeated. The report, along with what we already knew, has led me to the following conclusions and actions. There were numerous errors in judgment made in the handling of the meeting with Ms. Lindsay Shepherd, the TA of the tutorial in question. In fact, the meeting never should have happened at all. No formal complaint nor informal concern relative to a Laurier policy was registered about the screening of the video. This was confirmed in the fact-finding report. The errors in judgment were compounded by misapplication of existing university policies and procedures, basic guidelines, and best practices on how to appropriately execute." Let's pause there for a second, just for the mental image. "The roles and responsibilities of staff and faculty were ignored or not understood. Procedures in how to apply university policies and under what circumstances were not followed. The training of key individuals to meet the expectations of the university in addressing an issue such as this was not sufficient and must be improved." So they did not follow policy and procedure, and it was in response to a student concern that was found to not exist, according to the president of the college. But what McClatchy's letter doesn't undermine is this claim by Pimlott and Herbert that they acted pursuant to their respective academic freedom. What does that have to do with what happened in that meeting? Their academic freedom was not being expressed by taking a TA aside and grilling her for 40 minutes, and furthermore calling the clip that she showed equivalent to a speech given by Hitler, which is why they're in trouble, because they claimed all these things about Jordan Peterson that doesn't exist, or that is not true, such as Jordan Peterson doxing transgender students, which they go on at length.
So just to give you some context about Jordan Peterson he is a figure that's basically highly involved with the alt-right. The website Rebel Media, which is an alt-right website, has been involved in raising multiple hundreds of thousands of dollars for his research. I
don't see what's transphobic about showing a video of Jordan Peterson. He's a real person. He's out there.
He is a real person, but he is a real person who has engaged in targeted behavior that or targeting of trans students in a particular, like basically doxing them, if you know the term, like giving out their personal information so that they will be attacked, harassed, so that death threats will find them. This is something that he has done to his own students.
So this whole notion of academic freedom is kind of rich coming from these two individuals. Individuals, furthermore, why were they so concerned about gender pronouns, just as a debate? Why were they so concerned about that? To continue with this claim, number 10, Rambukkana and Pimlott deny that any of their respective comments made at the November 8th, 2017 meeting constitute defamation in respect to the plaintiff. Rambukkana and Pimlott plead and rely on their statement of defense in this regard, which goes to say that they're saying that they're not defaming Jordan Peterson. They're not defaming. But, and then 11, but in the alternative, which is a fancy way of saying but, and so we can ignore everything before the but, right? If any of their respective comments made at the November 8th, 2017 meeting are found to constitute defamation in respect to the plaintiff, Peterson, Rambukkana and Pimlott plead that Shepard is responsible for the damages claimed by the plaintiff in this regard. I think it's awesome that they deny responsibility. Even if they were defaming Jordan Peterson, it's not their fault they were doing it. It was Lindsay Shepard's fault, a 22-year-old TA. They are tenured professors. Furthermore, Pimlott is making $150,000 a year, Canadian, of course, but still. Oh, and I forgot to mention that Lindsay Shepard's also suing them too. So there's this huge nest of lawsuits going on. To continue, number 12, Rambukkana and Pimlott deny that the plaintiff has suffered any damages as required to support a claim of injurious falsehoods or punitive damages. Rambukkana and Pimlott plead and rely on their statement of defense in this regard. 13, in the alternative, which is a fancy way of saying but. It's legalese for but, so we can ignore everything before the but. In the alternative, if that the plaintiff has suffered any damages as required to support a claim of injurious falsehood or punitive damages, Rambukkana and Pimlott plead that Shepard is responsible for the damages claimed by the plaintiff in this regard. 14. Rambukkana and Pimlott deny that they published, broadcast, or otherwise distributed the statements or content of the November 8th, 2017 meeting. 15. Rambukkana and Pimlott plead that the November 8th, 2017 meeting with Shepard was a private and confidential meeting among 4 individuals, namely Rambukkana, Pimlott, Shepard, and Adria Joel. Rambukkana and Pimlott did not and could not have known that the comments made in and content of the November 8th, 2017 meeting could or would be made available beyond the participants of the meeting. And whose fault is it that they didn't think that far ahead? I mean, to be fair, that's true. They were speaking with the understanding that this was a private meeting. However, this meeting was between people in authority, people in power, and somebody who was relying on these people for her, for her job and for the finishing of her degree, which she's already in the hole in. She's already paid all this money for this degree, and it's all hinging on these people. Not necessarily Pimlott. There's no reason for Pimlott to have been in this room whatsoever, or was there? That being said, I kind of understand that they were caught with their pants down. But still, the crap that was coming out of them was still coming out of them. It wasn't coming out of anybody else. And furthermore, it was libelous and it was false. It was false crap that they were spewing, behind closed doors. Little did they know that there was a Tweety bird in there.
So I understand the position that you're coming from and your positionality, but the reality is that it has created a toxic climate for some of the students.
How many?
It's great that...
Ooh, like how many?
Okay.
One?
May I speak?
I have no concept of like how many people complained, like what their complaint was. You haven't showed me the complaint.
Yes, I understand that this is upsetting, but there's also confidentiality matters.
The number of people is confidential?
Yes.
Yeah.
It is one or multiple students who've come forward saying that this is something that they were concerned about and that it made them uncomfortable.
And so, I feel bad for them to a certain degree, but at the same time, it kind of shows their character. It shows the constitution of their character that they're going along this route. Or maybe it's just lawyer speak, and there's no honor among lawyers. There's no honor among the whole legal system with regards to this. You make claims and you see what happens. You see what sticks to the wall. So maybe this doesn't reflect back on their character. Maybe this reflects on their lawyers' tactics. At the same time, 16, Rambukkana and Pimlott state, and the fact is that they had no reason to believe that any communications or discussions during the November 8th, 2017 were being recorded or would be published or publicly disseminated. 17, the November 8th, 2017 meeting was surreptitiously recorded by Shepard without the knowledge or consent of Rambukkana and Pimlott. It's a one-party recording law. So anybody in that room could have been recording anything that happened in that room, as long as the person recording was aware that they were recording. It was fair game for her to record it. 18. Rambukkana and Pimlott plead that Shepard had power. This is great. What does this tell us about their ideology? They have a very specific ideology. They're both social justice warriors, admittedly.
I've always been interested in the relationship between ideas and media. And in particular, I've been interested in those ideas that are concerned with economic and social justice and the degree to which they may or may not be taken up by the mainstream mass media.
As such, my work isn't an attempt to fix a broken system of public sphere communication around topics such as sexuality, intimacy, and race, and more specifically issues such as non-monogamy, polygamy, mixed race, diasporic, or hybrid identities, but rather to unfix staid communication systems, to refigure the public conversation about such issues and topics with a view to cracking open stable systems of meaning-making and working, as Peters reminds us we need to do, to build better communication across and between cultural and subcultural spaces. So in this way, my work as a whole attempts to work transdisciplinarily, developing frameworks, insights, and evidence that might have a broader relevance across academic disciplines, as well as outside of academia into realms such as journalistic, legal, activist, and popular spheres.
They give talks about this stuff. They teach this stuff. Social justice is something very important to them. Not just social justice, but what we can kind of construe as cultural Marxism. They're all about the oppressor and oppressed dynamics. So whoever has power is the bad guy. So they are denying that they have power. And they're trying to say that Lindsay, Shepard have the power. So Rambukkana and Pimlott plead that Shepard had power and control over the recording of the contents of the November 8th, 2017 meeting and the distribution and publication of its contents. So I understand how this would make sense legally because they are not the ones who are publishing this bullshit. Right? It's Lindsay Shepard that's publishing their bullshit. So they didn't intend to throw the shit at Peterson publicly, but that's what ended up happening because Lindsay Shepard's the one who launched it out there. But it still comes out of their holes. 19. Rambukkana and Pimlott state, and the fact is that the surreptitiously recorded contents of the November 8th, 2017 meeting were published and disseminated by Shepard in all formats, including but not limited to online, newspaper, television, radio, and other media. Again, without knowledge or consent of Rambukkana and Pimlott. You think they would have given consent if they had knowledge that that thing existed? Or would they only give consent to it being destroyed? And why would they want that stuff destroyed? And furthermore, it's not just about the whole Peterson thing. What does this say about these academics that are in these institutions that are propped up by millions and millions of dollars of public funds and student loans, right? And what is the character? What is the content of the character of the people who are riding high in these institutions? What does it show us about their character when they act in such a way, when they are presented out in the open? When their shit is shown, how do they act? They try to deride and go after the people who are showing their shit to the public, which is kind of funny because I think that they all applaud whistleblowers that are in the government. I'm sure they all applaud that, but then they deride the whistleblowers in their midst. That's a loose point, but I think it holds. Number 20. Rambukkana and Pimlott plead that Shepard knew and intended in recording, publishing, and disseminating the contents of the November 8th, 2017 meeting, that the contents of the meeting could be available and potentially widely discussed. I think it was really important that it would be widely discussed. I really think it shows just how disgusting their behavior is. And furthermore, not just their behavior, but the whole apparatus of the diversity and equity agenda and the way that it's instituted in these institutions and the way that it's used basically to gain power and to silence opposition within the academic university. Number 21, Rambukkana and Pimlott plead that Shepherd intended the publication and dissemination of the contents of the November 8th, 2017 meeting and implicitly or explicitly authorized the republication of the contents of the meeting. So it's all her fault, guys. It's all her fault. She made this recording and she put it out there. It might be a recording of us, but we didn't put that recording out there. We just put our words into the air, not for everybody to hear, but just for her to hear so that she would follow what we want her to do. And that she would, I guess, plead for forgiveness for violating their ex post facto disliking of the contents of one of the courses that she was given power to teach. 22. Rambukkana and Pimlott state that the damages or injuries claimed by the plaintiff, Peterson, which are not admitted but specifically denied, were caused by Shepherd, and Shepherd is liable to the plaintiff for all such damages found due to the plaintiff. 24, then we get into the legal speak. And 25, Rambukkana and Pimlott state that they are entitled to indemnification from Shepherd, including indemnification for all claims of the plaintiff, as well as their costs in defending the main action and in prosecuting the third-party claim. So it's her fault. We want her to reimburse us for all these problems that we did not cause. She caused it all. We just gave her all the material to cause it. And so she's responsible for any damages that they accrue from Peterson and any damages that they've accrued from the legal proceedings. And probably they want extra things too for putting their words out there without their consent or knowledge. 26, Rambukkana and Pimlott propose that the trial of this last third-party proceeding take place at the same time or immediately following the trial of the main action, December 17th, 2018. Now, one more thing. I can see the case being made in the court of public opinion that Jordan Peterson is a free speech activist, and yet he is suing people for their own free speech, for calling him basically Hitler. And just recently, Jordan Peterson published a little article where he responds to that accusation. The letter to Jordan Peterson goes, "My children like Jordan Peterson, and I'm not a fan. I can't wait to tell them the free speech guy is suing folks because he doesn't like their free speech. Oh, the ironies aren't lost on me, and I hope not on my children. Tell Jordan he must be fake. If he doesn't allow others the same he constantly spews about. Free speech outwins political correctness. I love it. Can't wait to tell the teenagers. Thanks. You made my day. My teenagers are squirming on this one, and I can't stop laughing." And then Jordan Peterson wrote back, "Dear Ms. Redacted, if you look into the Lindsay Shepherd situation with more care and are not absolutely appalled, then you did not understand what you have seen. Describing a colleague as Hitler, among many other careless pejoratives, at a university during an inquisition, 1, based on a lie, and 2, aimed successfully at destroying a 24-year-old graduate student's career, is slander, not free speech. Why the glee on your part? That young woman had a very miserable 2 years as a university she trusted and respected, alienated and tormented her. I see very little amusing about the whole sad situation, and if I win the suit taken out in support of her, I plan to donate the money to graduate student scholarships. Finally, if you care more about your teenagers than about being right, you could share this letter with them. You could also try to find out what they're learning from me that seems to be attracting their attention. After all, it's not always that easy to get through to teenagers. Tell them I said hi, Jordan Peterson." So that's the latest from Expose Laurier. And I'd like to hear what you guys think about this, and I will make this third-party claim publicly available in the comments so that anybody with legal expertise can, pick it apart and tell me what's strong or what's wrong about it. Again, this is not legal advice. Please don't take my legal advice. Like, subscribe, follow, do whatever you need to do. I love you all. Talk to you soon. Goodbye.